Today I wanted to talk about a poll question that I posted on our community tab, basically asking if you've played every game in your video game collection. And this sort of came about because Joe and I did a podcast recently where we talked about what games we want to play in the upcoming year. And we both chose 10 games. And for me, I kind of like combed my shelves and I was trying to find games that I hadn't played. And I was surprised because there were still like a fair amount of games I still hadn't played yet, or games that I'd like, just tried for a few minutes. So I wanted to ask people, like, how many games have you actually played in your collection? Now, for me, I'd say I've played like roughly 70 to 80% of the games in my collection, but that's because I've culled my collection down to, I want to say it's like around 500 games or so. I used to have around 2,000 games in my collection, like well over 600 NES games many, many years ago, and I just wasn't playing them. And, so I got rid of them and I was okay with that. And I actually just sort of kept games in my collection that either I'm going to play, my kids are going to play, or like I hold some nostalgia for, right? So, and every collector's different, right? And I was curious, what do people do, right? So it kind of worked out to basically most people said that they've played most of the games in their collection, or they've played less than half, which I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me, right? Because if you're going for a full set, let's say, you probably aren't going to play all of them, or it might take you a very long time to finally get to that area that you want to get to. If you're like a gamer that's more looking just to play and not necessarily collect everything, you're probably going to buy your game and play them as you go, right? So it really depends on the kind of gamer collector that you are. We have a few people that responded, and these are always my favorite parts here to read these out. So the Game Boy Nerd 23 says, I probably have played most of them, but at this point, I have so many, I can't even guarantee it. CWN 25 says, if I get a couple of games at one time, I will always open them up and test them out, especially if they're used, just to be sure they're working. And I think a lot of people do that for sure. Do you play through it right away? Maybe, maybe not. And then someone says, like, did you mean like, did you beat it or just tried it out? And I wasn't mentioning beating it because, like, that is a totally different ball game. Um, Joe and I had tried to keep like a spreadsheet a while back of games that we've beaten, but the truth is, it's just like it's hard to do that. It's hard to be to always beat a game. Although I recently beat Gato Roboto for the Switch, which was such a fun game, a short little Metroidvania, really cute game. Yeah, and he kind of says, he's like, I answered his question, I basically said, which games have you tried playing in your collection? He said, in that case, yes, I've played every game in my collection. I try to buy stuff I know I will play sometime. Thanks for asking. So that was our question on our community tab this week. Thank you for participating, and we'll catch you later.